Welcome to the YouTube Creators Hub podcast, where we help you conquer the internet one video at a time. We cover everything from how to start a YouTube channel to how to make a video go viral. And now, here's your host, the one and only Dusty Porter.
Of the internet. Welcome back to another episode of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. We are back to a normally scheduled episode this week with a great interview with Brian from Wampler Pedals over on his YouTube channel. Great conversation. Really looking forward to you guys responding to this week's episode. As always, we are brought to you each and every week by the fine folks over at TUBEBUDDY. If you're looking to reach those milestones of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours that YouTube is now mandated to be a part of the partner program, there's no better way to do it than getting signed up for TUBEBUDDY using that Swiss Army knife of a tool. And we're always releasing new features, hiring new staff. We're growing like crazy. TUBEBUDDY is amazing. If you haven't already, click the link in the show notes, download it. I promise you will not regret it. You can find this audio podcast anywhere you can consume podcast. We are on Spotify. I almost said Shopify. We are on Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and more as we're available to more and more people. More and more platforms come available as podcasting is just in a boom right now. So wherever you can consume audio podcast, we are available. Always ranked in the top 50 to 100 in management and marketing on the iTunes and Stitcher and places like that. We got 2 new reviews coming in. If you don't know, you can leave us a review over on iTunes. We have now surpassed 100 reviews over on iTunes, which is just amazing. I'll give you a shout out on next week's episode if you do happen to stumble over there and leave us a review. So first review coming in from Game Pro Joe says, stumbled across this podcast around the end of 2017, and I would listen to all the episodes throughout the year. I finally caught up and cannot wait to see what Dusty has in store for 2018. Well, Game Pro Joe, we've got a ton in store, so you stick around. And then the last review for this week comes in from Olivia, OHH Olivia, says, so glad I found this podcast. Dusty, your breakdown and explanation of the new YouTube guidelines was not only informative, but also encouraging. When I first heard the news, I thought that I would never be able to reach those partner parameters. At least now I have a much better understanding of the guidelines and the reasoning for these changes. I really took your motivational words to heart and felt inspired. Thank you so much for your insight. I have been binge listening all week. My YouTube channel is Olivia, OHHLIVYAH. Go check her out. I guarantee you will not regret that as well. All right, guys, as mentioned before, if you are new to the show, I interview a fantastic online video, specifically YouTube creator, each and every week. I talk with them about the ins and outs of YouTube, their strategies for growth. I talk with them about different monetization methods they use to make money from their YouTube channel. Talk with them about their strengths and weaknesses and so much more. If you haven't already, slap that subscribe button so every single Wednesday you will get updated when I release a new episode. Thanks as always for listening. Catch you on the other side. Hello and welcome back to this week's conversation. I'm so excited today to be joined by my guest, Brian Wampler. He was unhappy with the sound of his guitar pedals, so he taught himself electronics and began creating his own line of guitar pedals and amplifiers. He realized that few other similar companies were marketing creatively using various forms of content aligned with social media marketing that is content and customer focused. Using these principles, he was able to build his company into a popular boutique brand known around the world, selling to customers from hobbyists practicing in the bedroom to famous musicians and recording artists such as Brad Paisley, John Mayer, Keith Urban, and many more. All of this actually led to the creation of his YouTube channel, Wampler Pedals. Brian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. I'm so excited to be talking with you today. So as I mentioned there in that wonderful bio that you sent over to me, you are the CEO and founder of Wampler Pedals, and you have a YouTube channel called, very fittingly, Wampler Pedals. So let's talk briefly about yourself and the YouTube channel. So maybe if you would let my audience know a little bit more about you and how your YouTube channel came to be.
Sure. So I'm kind of I would call myself kind of a weird, quirky guy. I'm an anomaly with entrepreneurship, I think, where I really love the creative aspect, and I also like some business as well. obviously, since I have a business. And I kind of figured out how to kind of merge those two together to do something that I love every day, really. We do build like these little devices called guitar pedals, which you plug a guitar into it, then that goes to the amplifier, and then it makes different sounds like echoes or all different types of sounds. And I like designing that part. I don't like building them though. So I have a local company that builds them, but I get to do the design aspect. I get to make all the, all the quote unquote marketing stuff, which really, as you and I both know, it's a lot of videos. We have our own podcast as well that's really centered around guitar gear. And I just get to create stuff all the time. So that's the majority of what I get to do. And it's a lot of fun.
So let's talk about the YouTube channel for a minute. As far as like, you've gotten a niche, and you've found something that you really love as a musician and a designer and a creator. You took something that we mentioned there in the bio that really you thought you could do better, and you implemented on that, and you created Wampler Pedals. Now, where does the YouTube channel come into play? Like, what made you decide, okay, I'm going to start doing this? Because, I look at your channel and it's not all videos that are just strictly marketing your pedals. I mean, sure, they're in the videos, but it's very informational. It's very helpful. So maybe expound upon that a little bit as far as what your YouTube channel's purpose is.
Sure. So our channel is completely different than anyone else, especially in our niche, what they do with their channel. Like you said, they will have their product and maybe a product review and talk, basically it's just a big commercial, I like to call it. I think that that's the least effective way to bring value to people. So what I wanted to do was really just create all kinds of videos based on what my audience wants to learn about, wants to know about, wants to see, they want to be entertained or informed in some way. And so that's what I just try to do. I really just try to bring value to them, which builds my brand. It's really kind of an exercise in branding, because it's getting our name out there as a company that wants to help the customer, not just to make a buck, So that's really what I strive to do, is just provide as much value as I can to that customer that may be interested in our product.
So obviously, as we've been talking, your channel is solely focused around musicians and guitar pedals and what you're doing. But like, what was your experience in video editing or video creation and production before you started the YouTube channel?
Oh, it was laughable. I really had zero experience. I had no idea how to operate a camera other than how to turn it on. And I just, learned little at a time, asked some people who knew a little about cameras, and watched other videos to try to figure it out. I ended up getting probably 2009 or 10. I got my first Mac. So before that, I was using some little cheesy type of Windows software that didn't work very well. And once I got iMovie, that really helped me kind of get things better. And then I moved to Final Cut and got even better. And now there's actually me and another guy that edits video, because we put out so much content on each platform, and it's all tailored a little bit differently. So our videos on Facebook tend to be a little bit different than they are on YouTube. And we just pump out a bunch of content and without really any skill going into it. There's not really an instruction guide on how to make videos for branding a guitar pedal company. So we're kind of making it up as we go.
Yeah, and I love that though, because I have a ton of business people who listen to this show and they're wondering, what can we do, and do we have to have prior experience? And I think you're a good example that no, you don't have to have prior experience.
No, not at all. I mean, a good friend of mine is he's my dentist, but he's a friend. And we always talk about business stuff, and I've been trying to get him to do videos, and he says, I just don't know what I would do. And I told him, I said, this is easy. Like, what do your customers ask you? They ask you, how do I get whiter teeth? Or, what's a better way of flossing? Or what should I do if I have bad breath or whatever? You know your customers better than I do. So take all these questions and do some videos for them. Don't sell your product. Don't go out there and say, hey, come to my dentist office, because that does not work.
And, I find it interesting, Brian, that, you're saying don't sell your product, but in the end, what your YouTube channel will do is sell your product. And
in the end, it does.
Yeah, so maybe talk about that for a minute. Like, you're really not making these videos that are commercials and they're saying, here's our newest pedal and it sounds like this and it can do this and that. the videos that you are doing are instructional videos to help people become better musicians, to help them become more informed on their buying decisions. So like, what do you think I guess you would say the reference would be for people wanting to start and grow a YouTube channel that are businesses that are trying to grow their channel and also trying to grow and run a business? Like, what have you learned on YouTube to help you along, with your journey?
Well, it really kind of starts at not viewing it as a platform to distribute your commercial. That's really where it starts from. So like you said, there's times that I review other companies' pedals, competitors' pedals, which completely blows the competitors away. They're like, why are you reviewing my pedal? And why are you giving it a favorable review? And it's because the people watching my channel said, what do you think of, brand ABC? And I said, to them, I think they're fantastic. And here's what I like about them. So, I'll actually pimp some other company's products because I do like them as a fan. And that builds trust. So as the viewers watching this are thinking, I can trust this guy because he's literally telling me that his competitor pedal is a fantastic product. And he hasn't even mentioned his own product for 6 videos now, but what they do, so it develops this trust and that sticks with them. So when they go to buy something, they know me not only as a company that builds guitar pedals, but they also know me as a YouTube a channel that gives them content that they want to see.
Well, Brian, without you even knowing it, you just mentioned the buzzwords that I love to hear here on my channel. I preach this all the time. You've got to build trust with your audience. And I'm sure my audience hates hearing it over and over from me, but it doesn't matter what the purpose of your channel is. If you're not building trust with your people, with your target audience, it doesn't matter what you're creating. So I love that. What a great answer. Now, let's talk about YouTube monetization, how you're making money. What are ways that you are monetizing your content? Like, obviously, driving people to wamplerpedals.com, to your website, to your mailing list, obviously getting new customers on board from your YouTube channel, from your Facebook videos, all of that is great. But what are the other ways that you're monetizing your content?
We do a little bit of AdSense. It doesn't really make that much, a couple bucks here and there. It's not anything that I can make a living off of. And we also do, like, I have some Amazon affiliate links. If I talk about brand ABC and I talk about their pedal, I'll have an Amazon affiliate link in there. But for the most part, I'm not really looking to monetize each video like that. I'm looking at more of a long-term plan where I'm building this base or this community of people that like me and like what I'm talking about, and they'll trust me eventually. They'll trust me because they know I'm being authentic. And so when I do go to actually do one of our product demos, then they're way more invested in it because they know I'm not just trying to sell them a product. So I do have those product reviews of our pedals every now and then, but it's sporadic. And when I say sporadic, I mean once every 2 or 3 months. So it's not very often, but when I do, it's very effective for us that way.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you answered that question that way about AdSense, and especially, I'm sure with everything going on with YouTube changing their partner policies with, requiring you to have 4,000 watch time hours in a year and having, requiring you to have, 1,000 subscribers and all of that being changed. Everybody, they're up in arms about all of this, but it's funny, like a creator like you with over, you're on your way now to 100,000 subscribers. You've surpassed the 50,000 subscriber mark. So, I mean, if someone looked at your channel, they would say, well, that's, he's fairly successful on YouTube, because I don't know if people know this, but the number of people who reach 50, 100, 150, 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, sure, it may seem like a lot of people because the ones that you watch all have millions of subscribers, but as far as a total number or percentage of creators on the platform, that is a very, very small percentage of creators who are even at that threshold. And so with that being said, you just mentioned it, Brian, you're not making enough to make a living on AdSense. I have 200,000 subscribers on my technology channel, and I'm not making anywhere close to the amount of money I would need to make a living. But the thing is that I'm using it as a piece. It's a piece of the pie that all comes together creator and as an entrepreneur, that's how, I've decided to run my business. So do you have any final words on monetization and being able to profit from your videos as far as like directing it to affiliates and things like that? Just some different things that you might have learned over the years?
Sure. And there's actually a few things, if I can back up just a little bit, because you hit something that's real important. With all of this AdSense and view problems, everything that just happened with YouTube, I have a friend that has his own YouTube channel. He was real discouraged about this, and I told him, no, don't be discouraged. This is now the time to go out and kill it. Like, make videos every day if you have to. Go out there and do what you got to do to make a great channel. You'll get the views. You got to be patient, because you can't look at this like a sprint. You've got to look at this like it's a marathon. You got to be in it for the long haul. But I mean, even with that, we've had 376,000 views over the past month. Now that's not gigantic by Casey Neistat versions at all. It's really good for a guitar pedal channel, but that's only made me $400. So, decent. But I'm, not buying a new Porsche anytime soon. So with that, I mean, I guess the way I look at it is really not strictly, but really more about branding my name and the company name. So that allows me to do other things, not only with affiliate links, because you can put affiliate links in there and make some money. You can start a Shopify store. And there's different plugins you can use where you can, print on demand shirts and point people back to Amazon. So you're actually selling products on your Shopify store from Amazon and getting paid that way. So there's all kinds of affiliate programs you could do. I'm more a fan of finding out what you're really good at, what you know a lot about, and bringing that value to people, and then creating courses on the back end. Roberto Blake is really good at this, creating courses on the back end that you can kind of upsell people if they want to know more, if they want to dig in and find out more.
Absolutely. And, that goes back to your point of, your competitors, and people are asking, why are you promoting your competitor stuff? Well, people ask me all the time, well, why do you talk about Roberto? Why do you have him on your show? Why do you, talk about Tim Smoyer and what he's doing over there at Video Creators, and they're doing podcasts that compete with you? No, they're not. We have the same message, and we want to spread that same message, and there's enough to go around. And I think that's the interesting thing about this whole monetization fiasco, as people are calling it, is that people don't understand, if you reach those thresholds, and for those creators who are willing to grind and get their channel to that point, you're going to end up making more money now. Because now that money is not going to be, distributed amongst millions and millions and millions of creators. It's now going to be distributed upon a smaller portion of the creators as a whole, which means if you're willing to put in the time and work and willing to grind, you're going to end up making more money in the end. So again, like your friend's a little discouraged, but if you just tell him, listen, do the work, put in the time, get your channel to that point, to that threshold. I know it may take some time, but once you're there, you're going to end up in a whole lot better spot than you would be if you were to stay status quo. And so I love that. Absolutely fantastic. You did a video. I was looking at it on your channel a little while ago. I'm not sure exactly how long ago it was, but it was something along the lines of the 12 things I've learned in the past 10 years of YouTube. A question that I ask people is, what is something that you wish someone would have told you when you first started out on YouTube? You've been on YouTube now for a decade. You did a video about 12 things that you've learned. Maybe talk about 3 or 4 of the most, I would call the most important things that you think you've learned after a decade of creating here on YouTube.
Wow, that's a big one. There's a lot of little things. There's not like any big, huge cataclysmic event that happened. I mean, other than me learning my camera better and learning my software better. But I mean, I think more of it is really learning to listen, learning to, one, not be offended by negative posts, because you're always going to get someone that says that, you're horrible and you're ugly and why are you even doing a YouTube channel? So you're always going to have those guys, and you just ignore them. But the people that have real criticisms that are valid, I think taking that to heart, not getting offended, and then trying to get better. Like if they say, your camera keeps going out of focus too much, it might be time to, upgrade your camera. That's just part of the reality. Or maybe your sound's not good, so upgrade your sound. So I think really taking all those comments, reading those comments, diving in and getting into those conversations of the comments is critical. So you're not just like this faceless, entity that really doesn't care that much. So I think if you approach it from the idea that you actually do care about these people, that you actually want to provide them, I keep hitting this, but providing them as much value as you can, I think you're going to do what you need to do. You'll figure it out. But over the past 12 years, everything's changed dramatically. I started out with a little camcorder that the footage was worse than, the iPhone that came out, the first iPhone 3 or whatever it was. It was just horrible footage. And, so I upgraded my cameras throughout the years. So, but that's really the big thing. It's just be so intensely focused on what people want to see, not necessarily what you want to put out.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. That's fantastic. Now, let's talk about the creators that are in that space where, Brian, they are willing to put in the time, they are willing to grind. What advice would you give to those creators, the people that are out there that are looking to really dive in? They're not worried about making money right now. They're worried about building trust, like what we're talking about. They're willing to put in the time to grow their YouTube channel. So, Brian, what kind of advice would you give those people as far as, moving forward with their channel?
I would say build your channel around something that you love with a passion. Because let's say that you're not really interested in entrepreneurship or internet marketing or something like that, but you see that, Gary Vaynerchuk is making a killing doing it, so I'm going to start my channel doing that. You have to realize you're going to live, breathe, eat, and sleep this all day long, all night long. It's just going to be a huge part of your life. It's going to be like another child. So you've got to love it with everything in you. And people can sense the fakeness. They know if you're not authentic, if you're just, I don't want to mention any names, but if you're not being a real person and it's not coming from a genuine good place in your heart. So I think that's really important. You got to be super passionate about it, and like I said, keep in mind it's a marathon. So make sure you're willing to put in the time. It's not a get rich quick thing. It's not a get big quick thing. Most of us aren't going to be Casey Neistat. There's already a Casey Neistat. Be the Joe Smith. Be you.
Yeah, it really is a marathon and not a sprint. And it's funny that you mentioned that. And transparency is key when it comes to building trust, which is what we've talked about. And like you said, fakeness can be spotted from a mile away. But if you're passionate about your message, if you get on your video and you're talking and you're investing in content that you are passionate about and that you love, you're not going to have to be fake. You're going to be real because you're going to be so into what you're doing that it's going to really come across. So we've already mentioned, talking about your video production history, which you said, you obviously had none, and you've got a Mac now and you've got iMovie. I am a gearhead. I am a tech head. I love technology. I love new gear. I love this and that, much to my wife's chagrin. She sometimes does not like it when I purchase new things. She's like, we get a package every single day, it seems like, which it does seem like that at times. But
they're like, I love it. It's great.
with all of that being said, Brian, what are some tools of the trade for you that you would like to mention here that maybe could help some other creators out, whether it be hardware, software, internet resource, a book, or something like that you've used to help you on your YouTube journey?
Well, for me, everything I learned, I pretty much learned from watching other YouTube videos, really, for the most part. As far as gear, it's pretty scaled down. I use a couple Canon 70Ds, and even though they're not 4K, the focus is super good on them. And it seems like most of our audience at this point in time in 2018, they don't really care that it's not 4K just yet. So if that gets more important to them, I'll upgrade the cameras. Mic-wise, I'm using a couple Rode shotgun mics, and then of course we're micing guitar amps, so I use some pretty fancy microphones for the guitar amps because that's really critical with what we do. And then I've got a couple different Macs. The one I do all my editing on is a pretty new one. It's pretty killer. But and then I'm just going through like a Focusrite audio interface, which again, for guitar amps, that's kind of a high-end recording studio level of gear. So if I was starting out with a YouTube channel about dogs or something, I probably wouldn't go to that extent with something like that. But I think people get too hung up on gear. Honestly, I think they think, well, I don't have a Canon 70D, so I can't vlog or I can't start a channel. Yeah, you can. You got it in your pocket. You've heard people talk about it all the time. You got an iPhone. You can put out some pretty good footage with an iPhone. I think it's more important about the story you're telling and the information you're bringing. That's way more important than if you're using 4K video.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. The barrier to entry now is literally the investment you've got to put in financially is so much less even today than it was a year ago. And there's just so many things that you can do. All of us are carrying around, if you have one of the newer iOS devices, one of the newer Android devices, which most people, not most people, but a lot of people do. You've got a great video camera in your pocket that you carry around every day. Start with that and then move up from there. As far as audio goes, I'm an audio snob, and I really love good quality, good crisp audio, and it's really easy to, as long as you find a location in your house or in your space that either you can treat for audio by getting some really cheap eggshell or egg crates to kind of dampen the sound, or get some sound panels on Amazon for really cheap, and get a decent USB microphone like the Blue Yeti. The barrier to entry really is continuing to go down, so people cannot use that excuse. I mean, go get a decent job and a simple job and work for some money and end up purchasing some setup and equipment, and you'll be good to go. Now, let me ask you this, Brian. Let's talk about your strengths and weaknesses for a minute. This is one of the most intriguing questions for me as a podcaster, as an interviewer. Every interview I do, I try to get better and try to really focus in on the person I'm having on and kind of really target questions about them. So let's talk about your strengths, your weaknesses. As a YouTube creator, what do you think your strengths are, and what do you think your weaknesses are?
I think now, I used to think this was a weakness, but I think now my strength is that I'm willing to just be me. And I'm kind of a nerdy, dorky guy. I'm, a little manic sometimes. And kind of going back to a question we asked a minute ago, I used to be kind of afraid of that. I was kind of afraid of what people thought of me. So when you look at our videos 5 years ago, I'm a little more calmed down. I'm like, hi, my name is Brian with Wampler Pedals. And that wasn't me. Like, I'm just kind of my arms are always waving in the air as I talk. And I'm just kind of that type of person, a very high strung, hyper all the time. And once I decided that I just got to be me. Once I did that and I started making videos, at first, people thought I was on drugs or drunk or something like that. And so I was explaining, no, this is actually just who I am. This is really how I am. And people got used to it. And I think since then, our channel has grown way more because as you said earlier, that is authentic. So they're feeling that really is me now. And so that, I guess that would be probably my strength, honestly, is that. That's how I feel. My weaknesses, I think, I have to be kind of in a certain mode sometimes. So as you know, with the algorithm change, YouTube wants to see 3 videos a week right now. And I'm trying to run a company and trying to manage people. And so sometimes it gets hard to find that time to do those videos. And that's the part I love. So don't get me wrong. It's way more fun than staring at a spreadsheet. But, like yesterday, we're getting ready to go to this big convention in California called NAMM. We'll be gone for a little over a week. And so I ended up making 5 videos yesterday, on a Sunday, which is, some people don't like that. They want their Sundays to watch football or whatever they want to do. And you gotta make that time to do that. So I guess you could call that a weakness, where I just have so much going on. Sometimes it's hard to really make time to do what I love doing, which is making those videos.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, you're putting in the time, and sometimes you have to give up some luxury to grind. And people complaining about the monetization changes, they're not putting in that time. They're not willing to grind and do things over things that they really enjoy, and that's what's going to lead you, Brian, and other people who are willing to put in the time to a successful channel, as opposed to someone else not willing to grind and put in that time. So in closing, I want to ask you this final question. What is next for your YouTube channel? Like, you're doing these things, and as you mentioned just a few seconds ago, YouTube's always evolving, always changing with new algorithms, new things they're wanting you to do, new policies and things like that. But what is next for the Wampler Pedals YouTube channel?
It's a good question. I've really been contemplating doing more like a vlog, more like a day-to-day type of vlog. But I don't want to be, I don't want it to be another Nyastat video. It's got to be a different style. And when I work out of one, basically it's just a big room with a bunch of parts around me. And there's not that much that goes on in my day to day. I'm on the phone a lot and I'm on the computer a lot. And so I'm trying to figure out, how do I translate this into a vlog that's really entertaining. It's got to tell a story, and it's got to be entertaining. It can't just be me saying, well, I just got a cup of coffee now, and I guess I'm going to go back and answer some more email. No one wants to watch that. They want to hear about the struggle and how you persevered through that struggle that day. And, the cool place that you went for lunch or whatever. So I got to figure out that aspect for sure. Cause I would love to be able to do something like that. But I don't really plan too far ahead to say, here's the type of videos I'm doing in 2019, because I think that everything changes so quick in the world that I can't do that. I mean, I don't know what YouTube, maybe they'll change the rules again in June, and maybe it'll be only one video a week, but it's got to be 45 minutes long. So
who knows? Is being able to pivot as a creator, being able to evolve as a creator, that's really make the cream of the crop really stand out.
No, you're exactly right.
Awesome. What a great interview, and you're such a fun person to talk to, and you can tell you've been doing this whole content creation thing for a long time, Brian. Best of luck to you and Wampler Pedals and your success with your YouTube channel. Let my audience know where they can get in touch with you online.
Sure. So really, if you just type in Wampler Pedals in any search engine, you'll see a gigantic amount of things. But on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it's all at Wampler Pedals. On YouTube, it's Wampcat. I know it seems silly, but that's the name I picked in 2007, and I'm stuck with it. So yeah, it's just youtube.com/user/Wampcat. And if you have any, you can email me if you have any personal questions. It's just Brian@wamplerpedals.com.
Awesome. And all of those pertinent links will be in the show notes over on the website over at YouTubeCreatorsHub.com. Guys, as always, thank you for listening to another great interview. And until next time, talk to you later, Brian.
Talk to you later. Thank you.
You've been listening to the YouTube Creators Podcast. We want to thank you and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as support us on Patreon for great perks, such as having your YouTube channel featured on the show and a link on our website. Until next time, keep uploading those videos.